The screen is black. A low hum grows louder, like the sound of time rushing past. Suddenly, a whisper cuts through the silence. Narrator, soft, haunting voice. Time has never been on their side, and now it may run out forever. Thunder cracks. A flash of light reveals the rolling Scottish Highlands under a stormy sky. The camera glides over the mist, showing ruins of stone towers half buried in fog. The sound of a heartbeat echoes, slow, steady, but uneasy. A clock's ticking overlaps, pulling the viewer deeper into the tens. The storm fades into silence, and the sound of rushing wind takes over. The camera pushes through heavy mist, revealing a deserted battlefield. Broken swords and tattered flags are scattered in the mud. A single crow cries in the distance, its wings cutting across the screen. The atmosphere is heavy, almost suffocating. Narrator, firm, emotional tone. Love has carried them across centuries, but love alone cannot shield them from what is coming. Quick flashes appear, like broken memories. A hand holding a burning letter. A candle flickering in the dark, about to go out. A figure in a cloak walking alone through a rain-soaked forest. Their footsteps muffled by the mud. We never see the faces, only their shadows and their hands. The faceless style adds mystery, making every gesture more powerful. The ticking sound returns, louder, faster. The screen cuts to an old pocket watch lying in the dirt. Its glass is cracked, and the hands spin wildly, refusing to keep steady time. The sound of the watch grows, until it drowns out everything else. Then, silence. Narrator, lower, more intense. Each moment is borrowed. Each step forward is a step closer to the edge. The scene shifts. The screen fills with vast Scottish landscapes, endless green fields, high cliffs battered by the sea, castles standing like ghosts of a forgotten world. Over this, the music swells, a haunting mix of strings and drums. The heartbeat returns, louder now, echoing with urgency. In the distance, a storm begins to gather once again. Lightning strikes behind the outline of a lone figure standing on a cliff, hair and cloak blowing in the violent wind. The world feels both beautiful and dangerous, filled with love and loss waiting to collide. Narrator, rising with emotion. The past, the present, the future. They are no longer separate. They are one, and fate is closing in. The music cuts sharply. A single heartbeat remains. Then the screen fades to black. Ion. The black screen cracks open with the sound of steel clashing. Sparks flash in the dark as swords collide, but we never see the fighters' faces. Only blurred silhouettes locked in battle, their movements sharp and desperate. The clash of metal fades into silence, and a faint whisper slips through the darkness. Whispered voice, layered, almost like an echo. The war is not over. Not yet. The screen brightens to a roaring fire. Flames dance wildly, consuming a letter sealed with wax. As the paper turns to ash, a gust of wind scatters it into the night. The fragments rise into the air and transform into birds flying across the sky, symbols of both freedom and loss. Their wings flap frantically, almost as if they are trying to escape time itself. Narrator, measured, warning tone. Every choice has a cost. Every promise carries a shadow. The music grows uneasy, built on low strings and the steady beat of a war drum. We see hands, one gripping a sword hilt so tightly that blood trickles from the palm, another clutching a journal, the pages soaked by rain, another reaching out, trembling only to find nothing but air. Every gesture tells a story of fear, love, and longing. Suddenly, the sound of a door slamming echoes through the silence. A heavy wooden door with iron bolts crashes shut, sending dust into the air. The screen shakes with the force. Then, quiet again. A single candle flickers inside a dark stone chamber, its flame bending against the draft of unseen footsteps approaching. Narrator, voice steady, but heavy with emotion. Loyalties will be tested, secrets will rise, and hearts will break. The ticking clock returns, slower this time as if mocking. The screen shows a close-up of an old journal being written in haste. The ink bleeds across the page as storm water drips onto it. Words blur until they are unreadable, swallowed by time itself. The journal snaps shut. In the reflection of its wet leather cover, we see the faint silhouette of two figures standing apart, divided by mist. They are close enough to touch, yet something unseen keeps them apart. A flash of lightning reveals their hands reaching, almost meeting, before the screen cuts to black again. Narrator. Firm. Final line of this section. When the world turns against them, love may not be enough to survive. The heartbeat grows louder once more, then stops. Total silence. The silence shatters with the roll of distant thunder. A single war drum begins to beat, slow at first, then faster, echoing like a heartbeat that can't calm down. The screen bursts alive with quick flashing images, a blade striking against armor, a carriage wheel racing through mud, a lantern falling and smashing against stone, its fire spreading like a warning. Narrator, voice sharp, urgent. The storm has no patience. It comes for them all. The music builds, layer after layer, strings weaving with pounding drums. Scenes blur together, banners torn apart by the wind, a hand gripping a chain. The shadow of a rider charging across an open field. In one shot, the sea crashes against jagged cliffs, waves exploding into white spray. In another, a figure runs through the forest at night, torchlight chasing them. The sound of hounds howling in the distance. The tension rises as whispers echo again, overlapping, impossible to ignore. Whispers, multiple voices, layered. Will you fight? Will you flee? Will you choose love or survival? The pace of cuts quickens. A spinning wheel, a door locking, a scream carried on the wind. The journal pages fly open once more, but instead of words, the ink spreads into a dark river across the paper, as though time itself is bleeding away. The river grows wider, drowning out the letters, until the page is nothing but black. Narrator. Low, resonant, building power. The choices they make will tear the past apart and rewrite the future. The drumbeat stops suddenly. Only the sound of ragged breathing remains. On screen, two figures embrace in shadows, clutching one another as though the world is collapsing around them. A crack of lightning splits the sky, and in that flash, the camera shows a battlefield waiting. Soldiers lined in the distance like ghosts of what is to come. The screen flickers. Storm clouds, swords, fire, the lovers' hands reaching out. The endless Scottish moors, all blending in rapid succession. The music explodes into a chaotic storm of sound, then suddenly, everything stops. Black screen, silence. Only one voice remains, whispered like a prophecy. The storm has fallen silent. Out of the darkness, soft mist begins to curl across the ground, swallowing the frame. A faint melody, just a single violin plays a fragile tune, filled with longing. The screen shows the rolling Scottish Highlands at dawn, bathed in pale golden light. For the first time, the world looks calm, yet beneath the stillness, there's unease, like the air is holding its breath. Narrator. Quiet, steady, almost mournful. Every journey must find its end, but endings are never gentle. The camera lingers on symbolic images. A broken sword resting in the grass, its blade cracked but still shining. A pocket watch lying in the dirt, frozen at midnight. A journal bound shut with a fraying ribbon, its pages trembling in the wind as though desperate to open again. These fragments of story speak louder than words, carrying the weight of what has been lost and what may never return. The violin fades into silence. A whisper rises, barely audible, as if carried by the wind. Whispered voice. Outlander. The screen goes black. Then, in silence, the title fades in. Letters carved in stone, glowing faintly as if lit by embers. Outlander, Season 8. Below it, smaller text slowly appears. Official teaser trailer, 2025. The quiet doesn't last. A sudden rush of sound breaks the silence. The howl of wind, the echo of hooves, and a single heartbeat pounding once more. The black screen is pierced by one last vision. fog rolling over the Scottish cliffs, and two figures standing side by side, faceless, staring into the unknown horizon. Narrator, final words, powerful and haunting. The story continues, but only time will decide how it ends. The screen fades completely to black. A final note from the violin hangs in the air, echoing into silence. The screen is completely black. Silence stretches long enough to make the audience wonder if it's truly over. Then, out of nowhere, a faint scratching sound begins, like a quill dragging across old parchment. Slowly the sound grows louder. The blackness shifts into a close-up of a candle flame flickering in total darkness. On the desk, a hand, never showing the face, is writing quickly in a weathered journal. The words appear in flowing ink, the script uneven, rushed with urgency. The camera tilts closer until only the words are visible. For a moment they can be read, written on the page. If you are reading this, it is already too late. The ink suddenly bleeds across the page, spreading like veins of black water. The letters vanish into darkness. The candle flame gutters out, leaving only the sound of breathing in the dark, slow, uneven, afraid. Whispered voice, different from before, raw and trembling. "They're coming!" A loud crack of thunder shakes the screen, blinding white light for just a second. In that flash, a shadowed figure stands in the doorway of an ancient stone hall. We see no details, only the silhouette, tall, still, watching. When the light fades, the hall is empty again. The violin theme returns, but this time twisted, dissonant, like a memory gone wrong. The camera pulls back into mist once more, the sound of the ticking clock returning, but now faster, frantic, unstoppable. It echoes as the screen fades to a final title card. Text on screen, in blood-red glow. Time never forgets. The final heartbeat pounds once, then cuts to silence. Black silence. For a long moment, nothing. Then, faintly, the sound of water dripping into a cavern echoes. One drop, then another. Slowly, relentlessly. The screen flickers. An old stone wall appears covered in strange carvings. Symbols spiral across the stone, glowing faintly like fireflies in the dark. A shadow passes over them, and the glow fades. Another flicker. This time the screen shows an hourglass lying shattered on the ground. Sand is spilling out endlessly, but instead of falling down, the grains rise upward into the air, drifting like stars into nothingness. Narrator, whispering, voice layered with echoes, as if speaking through time. What if time is not a line, but a circle that traps us forever? The dripping water stops. The sound rewinds, playing backwards. The sand floating in the air begins to reverse, surging back into the broken hourglass, reforming it. The carvings on the wall glow brighter until they are blinding. The screen becomes nothing but white light. Out of the brightness, faint silhouettes emerge. Figures from different centuries, overlapping, blurred, as if history itself is folding in on itself. They do not move, but their presence is overwhelming. Hands reaching, eyes hidden, voices overlapping like a storm of whispers. One voice breaks through louder than the rest, urgent and desperate. Unknown voice, shouting in fear. "You don't belong here." Suddenly everything collapses. The light shatters like glass, leaving the viewer back in total blackness. A single heartbeat thunders, then two, then silence again. Out of the dark, a final phrase appears on screen, written in glowing letters that pulse like a heartbeat. Text on screen. The end is only the beginning. The letters fade, leaving only the sound of the clock ticking. Faster, faster, until it abruptly stops. The screen is pitch black. For a long beat, there is only silence. Then the sound of distant bells tolling begins. Slow, heavy, mournful. Each strike echoes as if vibrating through centuries. With each toll, the screen flashes for a split second. The Scottish moors in fog, blood on stone, a hand writing furiously, a sword dropped in mud, a door slamming shut. These images come and go too quickly to fully grasp, like fragments of a dream dissolving on waking. Narrator, calm, prophetic, almost otherworldly. Every story is written, but not every ending is chosen. The tolling bells stop. The screen shifts to a single candle burning in darkness. Its flame is fragile, bending against a wind that is not there. Slowly the flame burns lower, until it is nothing but a trembling ember. As it dies, a soft voice, neither male nor female, more like a whisper carried by the wind, speaks one last time. Prophetic whisper, layered, echoing, timeless. They crossed oceans. They crossed centuries. But fate cannot be outrun. What was lost will return. And what returns may destroy them all. The ember fades. The screen is now void. Out of the silence, one final heartbeat thunders, shaking the blackness. Words appear on screen in bold, fractured letters. Text on screen, pulsing like a heartbeat. Outlander, Season 8, 2025. The words linger for a moment, then crack apart, scattering into dust across the void. As the last speck fades, only a single line remains, whispered so faintly it feels like it could be in the viewer's own head. Whisper, "The end is waiting." Then, complete silence. The screen cuts to black. Trailer ends.